Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Mass. We actually got the names and decks on the marquee backwards here, playing around with the setting. And so that means we've got Ted on Eldrazi on the right-hand side, where Nick is playing 4-color control on our left. Eldrazi Temple into a pair of Endless Ones. A couple of 2/2 beaters coming down here. And Nick gonna brainstorm in response. Baleful Strix. Gonna be able to trade with one of them, exactly the type of thing that Nick wants to be doing, slowing the game down. And Eldrazi Temple means a 4-drop actually possible but not available. Thought-Knot Seer would have been nice there. Another Baleful Strix, and this is tilting heavily in Nick's favor. City of Traders. And Ted now has all the mana he could need. Ooh, Endbringer, that is going to require a force of will. That would have actually cleared this Baleful Strix. And puts a little bit of fear in Nick's heart there, not willing to trade the Baleful Strix for this Endless One. Is that a Giver of Runes? I think that's Giver of Runes. That's spicy. That can make Baleful Strix a real headache for any deck that has to continually turn creatures sideways. Thorn of Amethyst off of this City of Traders. And now a Reality Smasher. And that Baleful Strix facing the wrong direction feels super bad now. Nick thought the shields were down and he could afford to poke in there. Another Reality Smasher would be game-breaking. The trample, so Chalice at... can he cast Chalice? No, he cannot. No, his own Thorns stopping Chalice from coming down. Rightfully concerned about Swords to Plowshares. And he's just going to turn sideways, so it's going to take 6 down to 2. He's going to need another Reality Smasher to get through this. Anything without trample, not really going to be great, as Giver of Runes is going to be able to block and then give protection. Actually, no, that's not going to work at all. I was thinking Giver of Runes is going to be able to actually hold the fort down, but I think it gives protection from artifacts, not colorless. Let's bring this up. This has never happened on the channel. I'm sure it's happened plenty of times out there in Vintage. Oh, or from color. Gains protection from colorless or from color, so not artifacts. Had the shortcut in my head, so yes, this will work as it kind of looked like it was setting up to do. Nick gonna want to protect his situation with this Giver of Runes. Chalice at 1 now off of a waste. I'm not sure what happened with that Baleful Strix untapping. Got a little bit of glare on the top of the screen. Hopefully that'll become apparent soon. Three mana. And this new setup is going to need a little bit of work. It is difficult to see those top cards. They're completely blown out. Flooded Strand. Another Chalice at 1. I am struggling to identify some of these cards, like Ted is struggling to find a threat. He's got Nick all the way down to 2 life. Is that a Flicker Wisp? Oh, that makes sense. Wow. He Flicker Wisped his Baleful Strix. That makes sense. That's why I came back into play tapped. We're sleuthing it out, despite the glare. Thanks for sticking with us as we get this continual improvement. We got a Recruiter of the Guard now. Gonna find a not 1 mana creature. Another Baleful Strix. And if it's cast now, it'll actually shut off Force of Will, but Cavern of Souls largely does that anyways. Urborg for Walking Ballista. Off of Cavern is not going to keep that uncounterable. Cavern was naming Eldrazi, and it's a very good thing that Nick did not walk away from Force of Will there. Walking Ballista would have gotten him. Would have been a devastating turn of events there, having come back so far, being down to just 2 life and stabilizing. Most of the creatures in the deck are Eldrazi. Most of them would have been completely uncounterable thanks to the Cavern, but Walking Ballista was not one of them, and he would have stolen the game, so good on Nick for keeping his eye on the finish line and making sure that he didn't stumble right before he gets there with greedy play. Getting that extra Baleful Strix not as important as keeping that Force of Will online. The announcement just came out as I'm recording this video. Underworld Breach is banned in Legacy. Not a shocking restriction. Certainly ban-worthy. The card's incredibly busted. I do not believe we actually found the best Underworld Breach deck. But alas, its time has come. Ancient Tomb bringing in a Eldrazi Mimic. And on the other side, we've got an Aether Vial. Urborg. Allowing Ted to save a little bit on life, tapping the Ancient Tomb for black mana instead of colorless. And this Eldrazi Mimic situation could get a very explosive exclamation point with a Reality Smasher or even a Thought-Knot Seer. Any type of larger creature is going to make Eldrazi Mimic very, very dangerous. It's one of those cards that you kind of need to have the smaller bodies just to keep the early pressure, but it gives the deck basically a combo feel where you can occasionally just have, you know, a couple of Mimics off of something like an Eye of Ugin, and then like a turn 2 Reality Smasher just come crashing in for like 15 damage. Meddling Mage, probably going to name Reality Smasher if I had to guess. A Wasteland. It's a tempting line to just blow up the land. Endless One for 4. And probably the correct line here. The other option was an Endless One at 3 and Wastelanding a duel. Gonna send and actually trade the Meddling Mage out. Force of Will on that Endless One. Does leave Nick's hand feeling a bit depleted. Along with this Aether Vial, just a whole bunch of cards on the board, but none of them are creatures. Meddling Mage being cast. And going right back to that same well, likely naming Reality Smasher. Might be Thought-Knot Seer. We'll have to piece it together based off of what Ted plays, which will likely be the biggest threat that he can muster, which is just a Matter Reshaper. Get an extra point of damage in there if Nick eats it, but it's more likely just going to trade with this Meddling Mage. So those Eldrazi Mimic have been handled. Ted going to need to work for every point of damage now with the honest-to-goodness stat lines of his creatures. No bonus pumping as those other creatures enter the battlefield. And a very vulnerable feeling mana base here. 3 dual lands, no basics, Wasteland on the other side. Soulherder, I think it is. And now Flicker Wisp hitting this Matter Reshaper. I believe Matter Reshaper is just when it dies. Yes, it is when it dies. That would be much, much worse. And this Soulherder, as we saw in Game 1, just getting swole. Walking Ballista. X is going to equal 2. And he's going to take out this Flicker Wisp. And we've got ourselves a little bit of a game here. Mother of Runes. Matter Reshaper going to hand. Now, I think it's only got 1 point of toughness left here. We'll see if this Walking Ballista trades in for it. There's so many juicy targets. Oh, when Matter Shaper leaves the battlefield, I think he actually gets a +1/+1 counter. Blast Zone coming in. That can clear the Mother of Runes, and the Walking Ballista can as well. Matter Reshaper looking to wrap this game up. And a pair of Matter Reshapers now closes the door there on game number 2. Haste really is one of the best abilities you can throw on a creature. As far as keywords go, really makes them feel a lot more like spells. The big problem with creatures generally is they show up and they just sit there for a full round, and haste, of course, is the way around that since day 1. I'm trying to remember that Soulherder sequence in game 2 there with the Flicker Wisp. curious if that all was done properly. Flicker Wisp. Does work pretty well with it. Can't target itself. So some really interesting cards here out of Nick's 4-color control list. Not at all what I expected from the name. I was picturing something more along the lines of an Oko build with Astrolabes, etc. But we're looking at a really spicy brew here with Soulherder, Flicker Wisp, Mother of Runes, Force of Will, like a Death and Taxes plus counter magic and cantrips. Giver of Runes was in there as well. This is actually a very solid game one, giving protection from colorless. A main upside of that card. So Nick going to be down a couple of cards here. Leads out with a turn 1 Mother of Runes, which I wonder if that should even be in the deck. I wonder what he has in the sideboard, because I don't think there's any colored cards in Nick's deck that I can think of. Maybe an easy cut. Be curious to see Nick's sideboard and what else is left in there. Probably stuff better than Mother of Runes at this point, though it is holding back this Eldrazi Mimic. He would be super happy to trade this with the 2 casting cost creature. Oh, in a heartbeat he does. And Umezawa's Jite. Yeah, I think Ted definitely does not want to swing there and trade his creature down like that. Mother Runes, unless he's looking to go like beat down with Simian Spirit Guide or something. Baleful Strix coming in now. I would have loved to have seen that Eldrazi Mimic pick this Jite up right now and turn sideways. An Endbringer. And if this guy resolves, ooh-wee, he does a lot of work. Can he be allowed to stick around? He is just going to start murdering owls. So he's going to ping, take out an owl. Going to see a Thought-Knot Seer. And this is feeling really awful. Force of Will taken during the untap step. Endbringer untaps, and Ted just has so much beef here on board. Endbringer, basically like an Eldrazi Planeswalker, can ping to do damage to a creature, or it can also make it so a creature can't attack or block, or you can draw cards with it. And of course, its ultimate is attacking for 5. And that is going to do it there. So Nick extending the hand, Ted coming back to win 2 after getting so close in game 1. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.